Well, greetings, people of the internet. Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. Today on the Playhouse, we're going to spend some time talking about my pool. I mean, come on, it's the middle of June. We should all be dipping our feet in a nice, cool pool. So if you remember my pool, we've had this pool now about 4 years, 3.5, 4 years. Every year is a new adventure. Every year a new toy and whatnot. And last year I tried to put a saltwater chlorine generator. So just so you understand, it still uses chlorine to sanitize the pool. However, it takes salt combined with electricity. You get chlorine ions out of this. If you combine the two, sodium and electricity together, it breaks the bonds between the atoms, and you get chlorine and some other chemicals coming out of it. Anyway, the end result is you get lots of free chlorine in the water just by using salt and electricity. What I didn't know was that your water chemistry has to be spot on, or you're going to have problems. Mainly, you're going to have a buildup of calcium carbonate on your plates, and they're not going to work anymore, and it's not going to generate any chlorine. And that's where I was last year. Now, last year I was so gung-ho about doing a saltwater pool because the price of chlorine was going through the roof, and it was unavailable half of the season. And you need, on average, about a half a gallon of bleach in that pool every day in the middle of summer in South Texas to keep it free from algae and to make it safe to swim in. And not only was it getting expensive, but you can do the math on that, but it was getting hard to find chlorine at Lowe's and Home Depot. Now I can still use over-the-counter, off-the-shelf bleach like Clorox, as long as it's just bleach and not that no splash and scented. You can use that right in your pool. It's just chlorine. It's just liquid chlorine. But the stuff you get from Lowe's and from Home Depot is at a higher percentage, so you pay a little bit more for it, but it is an effective sanitizing agent. So this year, last year, I was looking out at other devices I could use because I had the Intex and it was failing. And I didn't understand why. I thought the Intex was a piece of junk. No, again, it was a chemical problem, not Intex's problem. So I went on searching one. I ordered one, and then in the middle of it, I decided, you know what, I don't want this unit. It's probably too good to be true. It was only a $500 unit when all the other units were anywhere from $900 to $1,500. So I called the folks and I said, I want to send it back. I don't want it after all. And we got to talk, and they found out I have a YouTube channel, and they heard the trouble I had with Intex, and they said, hey, if we send this to you free of charge, will you give us a shout out? And I said, well, what I'll give you is a fair review. And of course I'll give you a shout out. So that's what they did. And this year, that's the one I'm going to use. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I've learned my lesson from last year, and I'm not putting that unit in service until I make sure I get my chemicals balanced completely. Right now, my pH is too high, my calcium hardness is too high, and my CSI, my saturation index, have all got to be worked on. The chlorine's good, and the water is brilliant and clear, crystal clear, and wonderful to swim in. It's just that I have my pH is too high. So I don't want to damage this cell. But I did get it installed, and that's what this video today is about. I want to take you through showing what it took for me, for this old guy who moves a little bit slower as I age, to get this thing installed and get it set up. And then we'll take some glamour shots of the pool at the end of that. And then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about exactly what I had to go through and what you can do to avoid, what you can do to learn from my mistakes, I should say. So let's go to that footage. using my new phone. You can see we've been hard at work on clearing the area for the solar panels. We're going to go down and look at the changes to the pool. You can probably hear it. So, year before last, we had pump go out, and then that is the salt water generator from Intex behind it that just refused to ever work properly. Total waste of money. Intex didn't want it back. They didn't want to refund me, so that's that. So we got the new pump installed, and we've done some, this pipe is new here. And then we did this whole thing right here. So we went ahead and hard plumbed it, put everything in here. Now that is the salt cell. That's the little device that generates chlorine, takes the salt out of the water. This is on the return line. And it goes down to a flow sensor. Now, supposedly it doesn't matter where you put that flow sensor, but I theoretically should have put it up here, right here, before the salt cell, but it'll work. There's another union there, and then it goes to a Jandy valve, they call that. One side goes up here to the return, and then one side goes up here to, well, looky there, the fountain. Right now the fountain's on low. I'm trying to increase the pH of the water and lower the temperature. Helps with evaporation. And then there is the pool, nice blue and crystal clear. We have a temporary new ladder in. We got plans for this. We're going to have 2 ladders to get into this pool. So here's one I just bought, and then the other one is up there against the house next to my riding lawnmower. And yeah, we were able to get everything, just installed the way it needs to be. And we went from 1.5 inch to 1 inch pipe here. And I did this last night, and so far so good. It's running great. Check our chlorinator and see what's making the chlorines. And I did verify last night that it was indeed making chlorine, so it's probably flashing high on the salt level. I gotta find out how to recalibrate this thing because it's reading wrong, but it is making chlorine. But you see it's reading the salt at 4,200. It's not anywhere near that. So yeah, I need to, there's gotta be a rheostat or a pot in there you can adjust, but there you go. And here's the rest of the backyard. So yeah, it was a lot of hard work, but it was fun. It was fun. I realized about 3 months ago how bad, well actually it was more than that, it was probably about 6 months ago, about how badly out of shape I am, how I really let myself go over the winter. I put on 17 pounds, and you know, I'm already a big guy. And it got to the point where I couldn't even get off the ground, so I made a promise to myself that I'm going to be more active and do more physical related stuff. And fortunately the doctors appear to have gotten my meds straightened out. I have more energy now and am in less pain than I was just a month ago, and it's showing because I'm getting a lot more done, and I'm back to where I was maybe 10 or 15 years ago. So appreciate all the people that have been concerned about that, but I'm back and I'm enjoying it, and I love being out in the fresh air and the sunshine. So this was a challenge to me. I'm now setting these goals, and the pool was one of these goals, and you can see the end result was we've created an oasis out there, both in the daytime, although in South Texas, June to mid-September, I wouldn't recommend you go swimming between about noon and about 6 p.m. You run the risk of your flesh being peeled off of you. It gets that hot. But after 6 p.m., that's where you can usually find me, is out in that pool. And then after the sun goes down is even better. That fountain serves a couple of purposes. One, it helps to raise the pH of the water when you need to without chemicals. And two, it also causes evaporation, which some would say is a bad thing, but it cools the water. So right now the water is about 87 degrees. All this last week it's been 100-degree days, and we're only in the middle of June, and it's only going to get, it's only going to either stay there or get worse. Pools are expensive. I think y'all know that, but they're not expensive all year. During the winter months, you can turn the pump off and drain everything, cover the pool once you shock it. There's not a lot of maintenance. And then, there's about 3 or 4 months out of the year where you're running the pump for between 4 and 10 hours a day. You're having to put some chemicals into it, and it's not really a lot. Once you get the pool clean and keep it clean, it's like any other chore you have around the house. And as long as you stay on top of it, it won't get out of hand, and you'll be fine. So, or at least that's been my experience. But anyway, we hope you found the video entertaining and informative. Please smash that like button on your way out. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and I don't know why I've got my thumb up. That should have been earlier. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and click that notification bell to be notified of new videos when they come out. We accept donations, PayPal, Patreon, YouTube join function, or just become a YouTube premium member, and we all get a little piece of that pie. So thanks for coming to see us. Come back, see us again, and don't forget, we'll see all of you on the other side.